Ochile eba nagbi abladia bi menesoha biniji kpawo no manyawale nyon ye afi yakpe enyo nyomai enyo ke ekpamli na shemo ni hwanene wobwana wokeba hanyi shemo ne ke jote Facebook ke YouTube obanya ko ye Mbn 360 mina aja modo te shidani wobabote sajam liye nya ha wokwa otiye ni hie shemo ekome ye kai mo ni femo mi ke ha me gba anyo ni gboe Ketron koyo lele ushrano nese afi biniji ekbano ye manyawale no maye nyelo mahama ewie ake amefe amejigana no ye shikake jara yili sajamnie amralo akonta abulo kefodran ake Ghana inflation beshi keshe ohamninja edre kese ekba low 4.6% ye mawe nyono ni ye manse sajami we amaniabo ihawali ake Ukraine atutwa Russia oil refineries enyo yenese na atutwa mo nimi wamli sajene meke kokoma hijino nyabanu yeshanene Adafitswaa no Agbene sanje di enchemni mbote mone maye nyelo John Dramani Mahama Ghana bi na meke yose moke wu alo nyam ahama nsoloi nisha ame afole ya heshi form link somo ma ye riemomli bemli ni kai moni femo ke ha me nigboi ye nyese afi manyawale nyong biniji ekpa koyo lelo shinam niye maye nyelo Mahama ke me kpa nyoni gboi ye ji mansoloi ni damoshike ha heshi form ke afolesha ihame babao ni echuni nke ha Ghana ma ewo wekume ke ha me ne ashin ake ma ba kai ni be ke be fe ameka me ba damo ame arewo yelimi ne fele fan ake ame swolo ni egbo ine ameji Ghana ma mu efe no hiwon be ke be fe abaka he ni akai ame.
Today, a year later, we gather not to relive that pain, but to give it meaning. We gather because remembrance is an obligation for every grateful nation. A country that forgets those who served it slowly forgets the values on which it is built. Memory, therefore, is not simply about looking backwards. It's an act of national character and value. It affirms that sacrifices matter and that service is honored and that lives dedicated to the nation will never disappear into the shadows of history. The 8 Ghanaians we honor today came from diverse backgrounds and diverse professions. They had different dreams, different personalities, and different stories. And yet they were united by one common purpose. They answered the call to serve God and country. None of them boarded that helicopter expecting that it would be their final journey. Like countless public servants every day, they set out to perform their duties. They left behind unfinished conversations, appointments they expected to keep, families they expected to return to, and dreams they believed they still had time to fulfill. That is perhaps the greatest lesson this anniversary teaches us. That life is fragile, that service is sacred, and tomorrow can never be guaranteed. As president, I've often reflected on the enormous sacrifices made by the men and women who dedicate their lives to public service. Much of their work goes unnoticed. They travel long distances. They spend countless hours away from their families. They endure difficult conditions. They make decisions under pressure. They accept risks because they believe that Ghana's progress is worth every effort they put in. And too often, we celebrate such service only after tragedy strikes. Today, we must resolve to appreciate public service even as it is performed daily, to appreciate those who labor faithfully, often without recognition, because they believe in something that is greater than themselves. To the bereaved families, permit me once again to convey the deepest condolences of the government and people of Ghana. I know that no speech can erase your pain. No anniversaries can fill that empty seat at your dining table. And no ceremonies can replace the voices that you long to hear or the embraces that you still miss. You've borne your grief with remarkable courage and dignity over the past year.
Akpa Kaimo ni famous shot oku nigba eji the Defender magazine lo wolohi mama yenyam womli aha Dr. Edward Kofi Omaniboama ni echoise kemi ye ewala enupa yelike imodembo ke ha Ghana hegbiju. Ye wololo publication mama kpa moshishin Acting Defense Minister Dr. Kezo Latofosin Susu magazine lo wolue akenichu moise chele ni Dr. Omaniboama eto itrinshi efe ke somo ma triminjie mo ye nichumomlin ke heshifon ni eke Ghana ma defense lo afabanfo gbeni emlin ite no iwie ake Kaimo wulu ke ha chuchu Defense Minister efe wulu he mamakpamo lo gbejano to ikome keke shinwe eba afe noko ni Ghana mamu efe ba momi ke woni chumoku ishort we amli yiwale na agbene hu mambi abomoden ake ameba ha ni ma aka ametri no fe amedenche amesomo na anim. Dr. Atofosin san ite no ite hishifon ni Ministry of Defense ke Ghana Armed Forces ni chumoku weyo ke babu ni chumo ni ajie trimling achu ni ji patriotism somo ke agbene anokwayeli ni Dr. Edward Omaniboama damoshi eha ni femo ne mamakpamo fata ni femo short ni ato ke wo Dr. Edward Omaniboama hienyam bemli ni ajio senator fe mama ye ekaimomi.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and the Chairperson of the Armed Forces Council. Today, we are gathered in solemn remembrance and profound gratitude to honor an illustrious son of Ghana, our brother, the late Dr. Edward Kofi Omaniboama. This occasion is more than the unveiling of a cenotaph. It is a national affirmation of a life of service, integrity, patriotism. Your Excellency, this occasion is more than the unveiling of a cenotaph. It is a national affirmation that a life of service, integrity, and patriotism will never be forgotten. This monument stands as a lasting symbol of our gratitude to a leader whose vision, humility, and unwavering commitment strengthened the institution that he served. His life reminds us that the true measure of a public service or a public officer is not the position one occupies, but the lasting impact one leaves on the nation. Dr. Edward Kofi Omaniboama believes that strong institutions, accountable leadership, and selfless service are the foundations of national development. Throughout his public life, he exemplified these values with consistency, quiet determination, and uncommon humility. At the Ministry of Defense, his leadership left an enduring imprint. He championed professionalism, discipline, and accountability, whilst advancing reforms that strengthened the operational readiness of the Ghana Armed Forces. He remained a passionate advocate for our veterans and promoted stronger collaboration between military and the civilian institutions, all in pursuit of national security. Distinguished guests, as we honor his remarkable legacy today, the Ministry of Defense has published a special commemorative edition of the Defender magazine dedicated to preserving and celebrating the life, service, and enduring legacy of the late Edward.
Alhaji Lumina Muniru Binu Ekai Chata ye areho riemomli biani National Interfaith Memorial Service yano kekai me nigbo yenye se afi manyawale nyon biniji ekpa koyo lele ushiramli.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, distinguished religious leaders, families of the departed loved ones, ladies and gentlemen. 1 year ago, we stood before the nation in disbelief, struggling to find the words to say goodbye to our beloved Sandapirura, Alhaji Muhammad Muniru Limuna. Last year, we celebrated his remarkable life and spoke of him as a loving husband, a father, a brother, a mentor, and a man whose life inspired everyone who had the privilege of knowing him. Today, those words carry an even deeper meaning because for an entire year, we have had to learn what life looks like without him. The past year has changed us in ways we never imagined. There have been moments when we wished we could hear his voice one more time, seek his advice before making an important decision, or simply sit with him again. We have missed his quiet reassurance, his wisdom that always made every burden lighter, and the love that held our family together. Yet, even in his absence, his legacy continues to guide us. To the nation, he was a dedicated public servant and a trusted colleague. To our family, he was our pillar of strength. We had the privilege of watching him serve Ghana with the same compassion, humility, and sense of duty that he brought into our home. His life taught us that leadership is not measured by position, but by service to others. He taught us that true strength is found in kindness, that leadership begins with listening, and that integrity is life's greatest treasure. Those lessons have become our compass, reminding us every day of the man he was and the example he left behind. One of the greatest
Emmanuel Papa Sapon ye momli ye Dr. Samuel Sapon ni etron ise weku najia kaile ake nu ni somo ni ye hishiba ke somo ke ha eweku ke mamofe.
Remarks on behalf of the family of the late Dr. Samuel Sapon. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, fellow bereaved families, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I stand here before you on behalf of my family and as a son, remembering a father whose absence we have felt every single day for the past year. Dr. Samuel Sapon lived a life of service. To many, he was a public servant, a leader, and a comrade. But to us, he was simply that. Our father, mentor, source of strength, and guidance. 1 year has passed since that painful day, yet his memory remains alive in our hearts. We remember his humility, his love for family and country, and the values he instilled in us. On behalf of my family, I express our profound gratitude to the government and people of Ghana and everyone who has stood with us through the difficult journey. As we remember our father, we also honor the other 7 precious lives lost alongside him. 8 lives, 8 families, united by one shared loss. May their service and sacrifice to our nation never be forgotten. May the souls of the departed 8 continue to rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
Abigail Salami Niji Hefatalo Keha Samuel Abuaji Yakai Moni Femo non Shishie Shekeha Hewalehi Keno Kashis Jetiricha Nehi Niwe Ake Sani no Mokembugana Debo Nibi Ahe Akahe Ayano Kefata Mekba Nyo Nigboe Ahe Nyamwohi.
I'm representing the wife of Samuel Kweku Edu Abuaji. 1 year ago this morning, Samuel left for Obuasi. Obuasi was never just an assignment to him. It was his home, his people, the name he carried everywhere he went. He was going to fight for the land. He did not come back. Before he left, he said to me, "Take care, babe. I love you." I have tuned those words every day since. I no longer hear them as a goodbye. I hear them as an instruction. Samuel was 34, the last born of his father's house, a boy who grew into a man who never hid his faith, who worked hard, who laughed loudly, who could fill a room simply by walking into it. As deputy director for NADMO, his work was to reach people of the worst day of their lives. He did it well. But before any title, he was my husband, a father to our 2 girls. I will not stand here and pretend the year has been easy. Grief does not get smaller. You simply grow around it. There's a chair in our house that nobody sits in. Birthdays came anyway. Christmas came anyway. And our girls still ask me questions I do not have good answers for. But we have not carried it alone. To His Excellency, the President and the government of Ghana, to the Ghana Armed Forces, to the party, to NADMO, to the people of Obuasi and Adanse, and to every Ghanaian who prayed for us and refused to forget, thank you. You held us up when we could not stand. And to the 7 other families here, we did not choose one another, but we belong to one another now. Let me say one last thing. Samuel died on his way to a fight that is yet not finished. The rivers he was going to defend are still being poisoned. The land is still bleeding. The truest tribute we can pay these 8 is not a speech. It is to finish their work. Please, do not let this be the last year we remember them. And Yola, as I call you, I want you to know that God has held me. On the days I could not even pray, He carried me throughout the pain. Our girls are well. They have your laugh, and I am keeping my promise. I am taking care. Rest peacefully in the bosom of the Lord. Until we meet again, you will always be my forever. Thank you.
Yes, Sergeant Koko Mayam Lie. Onupani nye Public Affairs School here. Ya West African Examinations Council Niji Wayek. John Kapi Ewie Ake. Sajeni Bolioshaka Mejigbe Ameba Private School Sashi. Ya Basic Education Certificate Examination. Law BEC Makimom Lie J Anukwali.
These allegations are false, misleading, and have no factual basis. WAEC wishes to assure all stakeholders, parents, guardians, school proprietors, educational authorities, and the general public that the Council's assessment and grading processes are guided by internationally accepted principles of fairness, objectivity, consistency, and integrity. Under no circumstances does WAEC discriminate against candidates on the basis of whether they attended private or public schools. The Council encourages stakeholders who have genuine concerns regarding examination results to utilize the established channels for seeking clarification rather than relying on speculation or misinformation. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, the Council appreciates the continued confidence reposed in it by the Government of Ghana, the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, school authorities, parents, and the general public, that the Council will continue to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, transparency, and integrity in the conduct.
Kewonchashie moyano mefio anadalo anunyamo Alexander Finyumaki ni wiake NPP masenata omokuwe chensicha niji democracy under attack engo efonfe moyano shimo ameminchola chensiye kamishi na nikuwe susuo ake jale yelimli haramo low selective justice.
We are not against accountability, but we are against selective justice. An MP makes a contribution on the floor, and the next moment is invited by Yoko. Look at the honours bail conditions. Even their own leaders are complaining. Honourable Harun Idrisu has complained about the honours bail conditions. Honourable Muntaka, the Interior Minister, has also complained on the House floor. So we are expressing our views on how the government is being run. You see, as a country, we must end this vicious cycle of you do me, I do you. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. I don't say this because it is my people who are going through this situation. I say this because all my life I've believed that we can do politics in a very decent way. I believe in that decent approach in politics. Pay attention to the core issues. If you leave Accra and going deep into the hinterlands, you see the serious underdevelopment in our country. That should be what should occupy our minds as political leaders. All right? For me, if they don't stop, it will be difficult for the moderates in MPP to also calm the nerves of the extremists when MPP comes to office tomorrow. But is that what we want as a country? No. That's not what we want. That's not what we want.
Wabada moshia moneno ni wafuwe ke wakuwase wakeshika kejora yeli saje babani kachiwe.
How can we some look fast? Mama, me again. Let's go, Yale. Me call you, ma'am. Who hear me? Me and sent my friend, doctor, when I'm crossing over. See what we swear. She has malaria. Malaria. Oh, what they say? What the router? Me copy the absence here. A drone, a friend, router mixer. Yeah, come malaria, draw. And running so Gatra and the draw ku abaso body ase wabo ruta mixture abaso ruta natural products ndo ne ruta mixture ya e dekutie atridi ruta tonic and the ruta life wa ehuru efin srade bone efin nipadua mu na support immune system no ruta de obi ase ye FDA agedwede nkrato ya tu.
Shida pledge no ake okoyobe ye Mbn Adafitswaa no. No kabaje shi yeshika kejwa yeli sanjam niye amralo akontabulo alo government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu Kefojang ake Ghana inflation rate beshi kesha ohamninja edreke ise ekba low 4.6%. Ye ma wenyono afine keje ohamninja enumokese ete alo 5.3% ni ana ye utukwaja nyono.
Still rising, but more slowly. Year-on-year inflation in July 2026 was 4.6%. That is 0.7 percentage points lower than the 5.3% recorded in June 2026. It is also 7.5 percentage points lower than the July 2025 inflation rate of 12.1%. The index itself stood at 271.1 in July 2026, that is 271.1, against 259.1 in June 2026, and a base of 100 in 2021. Month on month, prices rose by 0.1% between June and July 2026. That figure deserves a moment. 0.1% means that over the most recent 30 days, the cost of the national basket was very nearly unchanged. Now, let me split the basket into 3 ways, because the average hides as much as it reveals.
Nano akabagbe na yeshika kejara yeli sanjam niye Head of Waste Management, Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Low AMA, Onupas Solomon Nai, main chairman, someone Nuchumohe, ni Paul Nuchumohi, Kashai Sanjiano, ni Amehatri, ni Esa Kumo, Ye Bafazo na Kuchi Amle Afeoti, Keha Agbogloshi, Galawe Drain, Low Nuchumohe Fimo. Ekeakeji akomochunye ebe angbegbe ni anye achu shikpon nuchumoe bona fe ni nui anye ahu ya Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project niji garage ni femo shishi Solomon Noy Chomling ake me ni eba hishi ye jeme mingba nichumona ejake bekebe fe amenchile drake nibi ni esa ke miwogotai amni ni efe na agba ake abanye akwala jeme jogbang. Yeri Mbn ni Greater Accra Regional Security Council eti Jeme Saramo ekeakeji ajieme nefe keshijeme ebawa kekunubone momli na agbayana yegane.
It is actually on contract under the World Bank project, and with World Bank projects, they must see to the safeguards by making sure that the necessary compensations are paid to the affected communities and residents within the sections that are required before they can do the dredging work. Because even if they dredge, they must put the silts or the dredge materials at a buffer which should be about 50 meters away from the banks of the river. We have to take bold steps by making sure that we protect the buffer, because no matter what we do, once the buffer is not there, you cannot do any serious dredging, because you must pour them on the buffer and make sure that we do even some landscaping to prevent further siltation in future.
Nono kabaje shikegbe na yewo na agbe share money jimanse sanjam nie Ukraine ke ametutwa oil refineries enyo ye Russia ma ye nyesene tutwa mo short we ni ametawo amekefite Russia ma swawa hiwale ni chumoi ye tahumo ni ya normally. Ukraine ke fojang ake ame tutwa oil refineries enyo ni Russia mamli bemli ni Kiev le hukai tutwa swawa hiwale ni chumohe alo energy facilities noni amesusu ake ejihe konyamo ke ha Moscow tahu mo modembo amanebo efele fan ake tutu amo ya kwe he oti ni Russia ma fio ame oyo lo mungonye yemle ake kebashi ane anyako acho ni bi aboni ye ekpata mo ne shi Russia onupa he kefodran ake ame ni bi ko me hie ekpata shi huwe amenyako amekentibli ni yo ushinasa ni nemling abafodran Ukraine ma be kebe fe ka me hie cho Russia he oti ni ji so ahi wale ni chumo he ni amenkpata hie na ameriomo jiake keji amekpata lo amegbojo he ni ana mumo kejo ebe agba Moscow bi ya hiwale no ye ame asrafo ya nuchumomli tutu amone ba bemli ni tahumone ebote heko plimli ni maji enyo na efe ka emi tutu ahe oti na kai no maji koko me ni eboli amemi bomoden ake ameba ha ni tahumo se afo shehu eke bashibi ane ale eboni ni bi banye efe yo ablade abibe bi ejihe ni be bang mo gbani wo kesha ni na ehie mo ya washida ni wo baya nya ha wa kwa oti ye ni jiku ye hie mo ya mlin ekom ye kai mo ni fe mo mlin ke ha me gba anyo ni gboe ke cho ko yo lele oshrano nyese afi biniji ekpa no ye manyawale nyo no ma ye nyelo ma ma ewie ake amefe amejiga na no ye shika kejara yili sajamnie amralo akonta abulo kefodran ake Ghana inflation beshi keshe ohamninja edre kese ekpa low 4.6% yema wenyono ni ye manse sajami we amaniabo ihawoli ake Ukraine atutwa Russia oil refineries enyo yenese na atutwa mo nimli wamli Keji Otawo ni okewo anashramo kewo anashramo ye Mbn 360 yewo ananugbaja plama short we ano mimoni nke shemo na ebanye igbenoji na ajamodote kefe ofiche dromo oba pe wo se ochi ne kebe amni no nyawala don kebe ni nye yi kekwewo